Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wednesday Night Paw Livestream. It's been a while. Greg here, joined by my co-host for this episode, Scott. Scott, my buddy, how are you doing?
Oh, never been better. Never been better. I'm at the peak right now. This is if anyone at home is worried that I've been concerningly on time to any of these, it's because I have a glorious little week off, and I've never felt so recharged, rejuvenated. I feel like a new man. How about yourself, Greg?
Yeah, not doing too bad, buddy. Was expecting to have a very horrible day at work today, and actually turned out to be quite pleasant. So I'm in a good, relaxed mood. But saying that, we have got a shitload to cover in this episode.
Wrestling just doesn't stop. It's an unending, unwavering chaos ball of random bollocks, and we're here to condense it for you.
Absolutely. Well, in case you haven't seen, it's been quite a mental 24-hour news cycle, which we will get onto in just a little moment. But because I really do this, I should get into the habit of doing it more. Get some plugs out the way at the start, and we'll do it at the end. So go check us out at the socials, the Bearhug Club podcast, Facebook and YouTube, Bearhug Club on Instagram, Bearhug Club on Twitter, and go check us out at the website, bearhugpod.wixsite.com/Bearhug Club Network. So, on to, I guess, the biggest news story to hit in the last 24 hours, and there's
Let's
a
get
lot.
Out of the way, shall we?
There's a fucking lot to unpack with this one.
Yeah.
Cody and Brandy Rhodes have left AEW. What?
Yeah.
So, yesterday the news broke that both Cody and Brandy had left AEW. Now, obviously, we knew they weren't under contract. The contract ran out at the beginning, just at the very end of last year. But Cody had still been on TV. He obviously won the TNT Championship, had that great little feud with Sammy Guevara. Hasn't been on TV a lot recently. Brandy was doing the little feud with an American Top Team. And then it just came out yesterday that, they're gone. They're not coming back. What was your first initial thoughts when you saw that?
The thing is with AEW, right, is that it's not like WWE, where the kayfabe is not a separate entity from the backstage product. As much as WWE want you to believe that when they had the Money in the Bank match, when they were going through Titan Towers, that yes, WWE runs like that, where all the quirky old wrestlers have their own little rooms. It's like in AEW, the backstage workings, the fact that Eddie Kingston is like a locker room leader and all that stuff, the kayfabe and the backstage workings are one and the same. They are like, and they're very smart with how they use stuff like the dirt sheets, which, by the way, after this story have been going just mental, because I swear, like, both Cultaholic and Wrestle Talk together, I think combined, have made 7 videos about this topic alone, and it's been I had to just kind of, and it's all speculative as well. It's because that's the thing, we've only been fed what we know. What we know is that they left because the contract ran out late last year. There has been some talks with WWE they've had in the meantime, but to finish off these feuds, they've continued to work on what Cody referred to in the promo after the Sammy Guevara match as a handshake agreement. Which is, I guess, like bizarre, because we used to the whole non-compete officiality stuff from WWE. So handshake agreement stuff is like a rare commodity. But even after that, I don't think they could reach an agreement. I think, I genuinely think, I thought initially, to answer your question, that it was a work. I thought this was a smart bit of storytelling from all very smarky AEW, where Rhodes will now be like a weird sort of CM Punk, but in kayfabe 2011 style thing. But no, this seems legit as much as it comes, maybe. unless this is we've all been worked, in which case fair play. But yeah, I thought it was a work until I actually looked into it, and I was like, wait, hold on a second. Yeah, he probably did want more money because he's a big time celebrity now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the crazy thing about this news story. Obviously, it was always going to be big news. It's just the amount of stuff that's come out about this. I mean, a lot of it through very respectable sources. You know, you're looking at like your Dave Meltzers, your Sean Ross Sapps, people who usually do get that quite big insider knowledge. But a lot of them have had sort of, I guess, conflicting views. But I think the one thing it seems to keep circling around to was Cody wanting more money, and Tony just didn't see that in him. And again, more stuff has come out. I've pulled up just so we can kind of go through a little bit the Figure 4 Online article. Whoops, what am I doing? Yeah, there we go. Boom. So yeah, we'll run through this a little bit. Hopefully it'll give us a bit more further background. But yeah, Cody and Brandi Rhodes leave AEW after failing to come to terms on new deals. So Cody and Brandi Rhodes, who are part of the original AEW crew, along with the Young Bucks and Tony Khan, have left the promotion after failing to come to terms on a new contract. Both had signed 3-year deals that expired on December 31st, 2021. Over the last 6 weeks, there have been negotiations for a new deal, with both continuing to work with in the community relations and on television as if they were staying. So in light of that, what I've heard was, yeah, Cody wanted more money for what he thought he deserved, and essentially what happened was a lot of it seems to stem back to that feud he had with Anthony Ogogo. Have you heard about all this?
Yes, yeah. Yes. The weird promo that he kind of regrets about
America. Woo, yeah. And then it was in a feud against England, who I guess were supposed to be the foreign heel. What?
Yeah, I guess 1812. Yeah.
Woo. Yeah. So it stemmed from that and that bad promo, and apparently, from what people said, if it was before then, Tony would have been willing to pay what Cody was asking for in this new deal. And since then, Khan has kind of lost a bit of the dollar signs on Cody, if I'm getting this right. Again, this is just from what I've read and seen. And a lot of it stems from things like, ever since then, Cody's obviously had that weird dynamic where the fans have kind of turned on him, but they've never turned him heel. And apparently reasons for that is Cody's never really wanted to, and because of all the charity work he does, which is fair. I mean, it's a big reason why John Cena was never heel in WWE for like forever, because he does all those Make-A-Wish stuff. So you can't really have the guy who makes all the Make-A-Wishes and charity work going to meet these kids suddenly be a bad guy because they ain't going to want to see him. So I understand that a little bit.
But at the same time, though, like WWE is AEW, sorry, are the kind of crowd which like Cody can tween. In that case, he can easily do so, because I think the AEW audience are a little bit wiser to that kind of element, that it's a story, like we are watching Game of Thrones, but we're not actually going to Kit Harington's house and throwing Swedes at the windows. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like Kit Harington, or like, or just like, or like, I forget the actress that plays Daenerys, but after like what happened in the final season, with like, damn you for burning King's Landing, how dare you? It's like, well, you know, she didn't come up with that. It's like, and I think like, that's not me to be to use the classic excuse of, oh yes, wrestling's fake, hardy ha. It's like, yeah, of course, like I said, Game of Thrones is fake too. We all still love that. Like, he could, in my opinion, Cody still could have done the charity work absolutely fine if he was a heel. And I think a lot of that stems from the fact that wrestling's in his blood, man. He's a Rhodes. He's got classic wrestling in his blood. He is wrestling royalty, and he even says this. So I think it's a lot of the, oh God, if I am heel and I can't do charity work. It's like, well, no, it's 2022. You can. I mean, it would be a little bit harder to go find Make-A-Wish kids if you're a bad guy, but it can still be done. You're still Cody Rhodes, for crying out loud. And there is a heel character you can have where you still do charity work, but you're just a bit like a goody two shoes in the ring. That still works for the smarky crowd, for the smarky, smart, very smart, big IQ boys that watch AEW. It's a weird reason not to follow the natural progression of a story, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And yeah, it's just such a weird thing because from what people have reported on, and it's all a bit of hearsay. I mean, again, take what we're saying and the dirt sheets with a pinch of salt because we obviously don't still know the full picture. But from what was applied, is ever since the Anthony Ogogo thing, Tony hasn't really been hugely fond of what Cody's been up to, from what I understand. Apparently, like he said he was okay with it because despite a lot of the weirdness that followed and the stuff that Cody's done, it was still drawing the numbers he wanted. But again, like his opinion seems to have apparently shifted on how much he saw the worth in Cody. And then the other big thing was in obviously the late half of 2021, they brought in Punk, they brought in Danielson, they brought in Adam Cole, all on pretty big money contracts from what I've heard. And again, that has somewhat shifted the dynamic of Tony saying he can't offer or doesn't want to offer Cody any more money than he was previously offering him.
Yeah. At the end of the day, AEW are still getting more people. I mean, even after Keith Lee, there is hearsay of someone else is going to be coming through that door soon. Yeah. And to think, I can think of two people who that could possibly be, maybe even three. And it could be Mia Yim, it could be Johnny Gargano, or it could be Wyndham Rotunda, the former Bray Wyatt. And I can't see any of those three being cheap contracts at all whatsoever. They're big stars, the three of them. So they got to make room financially somewhere, because I know the Khan family are very rich, but
what I heard was obviously they've been on one hell of a signing spree throughout of last year, and it's somewhat carried into this one for now. Is the rumors are Jeff Hardy seems like is almost a guarantee to be showing up soon. And apparently there's definitely going to be one other major signing coming up soon. Following that, word is Tony is going to be a bit more strict on signings, mainly because he's waiting to see if they can get some more money through their TV deal going into, I guess, 2023, 2024 time. I think it was the setting. And the hope is if they get more money for that, then obviously they can bring more people on board. But I think he has reached the point now where he's signed so many people, and some of them too quite big money contracts. I think CM Punk's got like the highest one contract next to Jericho. He is going to be a bit stricter on who he's letting in, because obviously the year kind of started with a lot of names coming saying, "Oh yeah, a lot of the first year AEW contracts are going to be up," and it was people like Peter Avalon and stuff. It's still kind of there, but it's kind of a known thing that a lot of people probably wouldn't be getting their contract renewed due to like the big names that he signed over the last year.
I think like the most valid argument against AEW, despite how much I love them, but the most valid argument is that they are doing kind of what WCW did, which is a little bit better. But they're kind of doing what WCW did, where they're getting the ex-WWE guys and giving them a contract and letting them do their thing.
Yeah,
it's not quite to the point of which WCW were like, we're getting them in, but we're giving them full-ass creative control. It's more just like, yeah, you can kind of do what you want. It's how we work here for AEW, but we're kind of giving everyone that. So that's fine. It's like a communal group, a communal creative. However, since WWE have had their big cuts come through, they've cut way over 100 wrestlers, I think. And at the start, AEW were like, heck yeah, these are characters we barely even have to develop ourselves. These are guys that will draw because they are known on the other side of the pond. However, that is a burst water pipe that is just throwing stuff at them, and they kind of, I get that means they can't do a lot of homegrown stuff anymore. I mean, like, I'm trying to think, just like, yeah, I mean, there's Darby Allin, MJF, Guevara, all were kind of names on the indies anyways. There's not a lot of AEW homegrown stuff at the moment that's getting over. A lot of it's the ex-WWE guys, which is a valid criticism, I'd say, of AEW.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all depends on your view of wrestling and how you view people like that. Like, I don't like to view people as strictly a WWE guy or an AEW guy.
Yeah,
anymore, you know what I mean? So I never see it that way. I just see it like when Keith Lee joined last week. I wasn't like, oh look, it's NXT's Keith Lee. I was just like, it's just it's fucking Keith Lee.
Yeah, to be fair, we were very much aware of Keith Lee pre WWE in any case.
Yeah,
so I never really thought of him as a WWE guy.
I would say there's maybe a few people that you could say yes, they are strictly a member of this promotion. John Cena's a WWE guy through and through. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Someone like Roman Reigns, again, you could argue at this moment in time, is strictly a WWE guy. But for the most part, I just don't see wrestlers in that light anymore. I just can see people who could just go to and fro. It's kind of like, I guess, football logic to kind of play in your ballpark a little bit.
Yeah.
Like some football players will be forever attached to one club, but generally most of them will just move around between clubs and lose that association with any former club, if I'm right.
Yeah, if they move enough, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get what you mean, for sure. But like, I guess it's hard to home grow talent right now because it's such a saturated. Both rosters are saturated. Even Impact is saturated at the moment.
Yeah,
and with the loss of Ring of Honor, that's just more wrestlers with more big time wrestlers as well. More wrestlers that are extremely talented with not a lot of places to go, really. And even when, say, in either AEW or WWE, only have a limited mountain to climb and shine upon, a lot of wrestlers from other companies who are big, maybe in another place, would then just assume that they'd hold that position in any other company they went to. So there's just not a lot of room at the top in any place, and a lot of people on Twitter who have next to no patience would say something like, "Oh, they should be in the title picture," or "They should be in the title picture," or whoever. But there's only so much room, you know. And then once they get the title, you have to give them a good reign for a long time. That's what they need to do with Adam Page. Just give him the belt for a little while. But since I don't know. It's an odd landscape, and when people like Rhodes do this big statement departure, it's just like, well, what happens now? Where's he going to go? What role is he going to fill?
100%. Well, before we get to that, I mean, just a couple of extra bits there. Like, yeah, so it seems like generally what's happened there has just been maybe a bit of a breakdown between him and Tony, and that money seems to be only the factor. There's a lot of other stuff there that I just don't think we could fully cover. I would just suggest go check out a lot of the wrestling dirt sheets and YouTube channels just to get like a more bigger scope on what everyone's kind of thinking about this. But yeah, so the big thing that obviously came out following this news is that rumor is WWE is getting ready to sign and bring Cody back in, which gotta say is massively shocking. Because I mean, this is the thing when the story first broke, the WWE stuff came out more or less not long afterwards, and it would just shock me if Cody did legit go back there. It just felt weird to me that it must have been something to do with the financial side of it, because me and Garrett obviously had a big debate in our chat, and he kind of thought it wouldn't be about the money. It looks like that's obviously the case, and then it just shocked me that, like, why would Cody leave to join something like WWE where he's crafted a way bigger legacy on the indies and being the face of this brand new revolution, as they like to call it? I mean, he is essentially a day one AEW guy. He was one of the figureheads. He basically helped this company get off the ground in a lot of ways I think people may not even fully realize. So that's why it's just huge shocking news. And WWE apparently are already waving the victory flag and jumping up in celebration, because if they can get Cody in, that is like the first major AEW defection to WWE, and that is like a pretty major name that they could have stolen.
Absolutely. And I think in a way, it's a double-edged sword, because WWE this whole time have been like, AEW's not competition. No, we're big wrestling. We're the only wrestling. So they're just the small leagues, and we're the Champions League. Look at us go. So now this will be them officially, pen to paper, recognizing, especially if they give him the kind of contract that he was looking for in AEW, Cody, I mean, if they give him that kind of money, then they are openly admitting that they're not only competition, but they are fierce competition, which is a big admission. And in my opinion, like, WWE will be shooting themselves in the foot without knowing, because they would immediately, people will be like, wow, a lot of people, like, for the weird WWE fans that don't know a lot about AEW, they'd see Cody debut and be like, wow, why is everyone cheering him as if, like, he did anything in this company apart from win the Intercontinental Championship and team with Randy Orton for a bit. What's going on? And then, heck, who knows? Maybe even commentary will acknowledge WWE in the way that AEW's been acknowledging WWE. Which, by the way, I always laugh at, because, like, the fact that WWE are just like, no, AEW don't exist. And when AEW start doing real good promos about stuff that people used to, like, characters used to do in WWE, and WWE fans would reply to it saying, like, oh, our company's living in your company's head rent-free. I'm like, no, the AEW just is self-aware and knows that WWE exists, because it can't pretend it doesn't exist, because it's right there. It's silly, really. It's funny, but
it is absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be a strange thing if Cody goes to WWE, because I don't know where they'd put him. I don't know.
That's my thought. Like, so here's the thing: a lot of the reports I've got in WWE, and many people are speculating, because apparently, like, with his contract, WWE knew his contract was coming up last year, and they've apparently been in talks since then. So it's not exactly old news that he's been chatting with WWE again about possibilities of returning. It seems like if he does come in, he will immediately be put into a main event spot and will play a big role at the upcoming WrestleMania. My thought process is, though, I think if he goes in, he will be put in the main event spot and he will be pushed pretty quickly. I just think it won't last for long, and he'll find himself dropped down the card again. I'm not going to say they're going to put him back in the Stardust gimmick, because I think he wouldn't stand for that now. But I just see him eventually getting toiled away in the mid card. After he spent so long building himself up as a main event player without the WWE machine, it would just be a shame to watch him go back, have a quick 5-minute burst in the main event scene, and then just drop back down the card.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know, if they give him a big contract, it entirely entails, I mean, we're talking about WWE, so logic doesn't really apply here, but it will entail that it will give him some big matches. And it was rumor that was saying, of course, that, like, if he does sign, he'll probably end up getting a big time WrestleMania match.
Oh yeah,
which makes you think, like, I'm trying to think about who that would be against, and I'm trying to think of dream matches. I'd love to see Cody versus Triple H.
So yeah,
that's a feud that's been building over 2 brands. That would be amazing.
That was basically, like, I have. If I was going to put together a fantasy booking match, it would be up there with Triple H and Cody, and essentially the story can kind of write itself. Until he got his name back, the idea was he was going to fight to earn back the Rhodes name, essentially. And Triple H is the perfect guy to go up against because you think, what brand in particular in WWE has been using the Rhodes name and his father's legacy the most? NXT. Obviously, you got the Dusty Cup. Dusty was formerly one of the head trainers there and helped it get to the level that it was. So it just makes sense that Triple H is this guy who's trying to keep the Rhodes name and legacy for himself, and then Cody's coming back to try and win it back off him. And I just think that would be an absolutely perfect match, especially with the way Cody is now. Garrett obviously mentioned a potential easy opponent would be Randy Orton if you want to re-dig up the legacy feud.
Yeah,
I guess that would be cool. Yeah, why not?
There's enough there. I'd love to see Cody versus Edge. I think that's a match we never really got to properly see. You can prove me if I'm wrong. I'm likely wrong. I would like to see Cody versus Seth. I think it would be a great match. Who else? Who else is still WWE? Happy Corbin. Why not?
Yeah. Put him against the biggest star they got, Happy Corbin.
Yeah, no, there's a couple of real good matches. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, never got to face Cody properly.
Volta, that's
what? Oh,
that would be good.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
Talk about tailor-made with if you're going with proper white meat babyface Cody against the big Austrian monster who will just chop him to death.
Then he can do his nationalism promo. He can just rehash the entire thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in many respects, Cody doing those kind of promos is the kind of thing that Vince always loved. He loves the big America great promo. Blonde, blue-eyed, babyface. Fair enough, he isn't completely the body type Vince likes, but it's got most of the other things in the checklist.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a good at the end of the day, he's a good promo.
Great promo. Even when he's doing absolute questionable garbage, you somehow are like, yeah.
Invokes a reaction. He always occupied a strange space in AEW. Like, his segments are always real, like, it's all like the Jade Cargill stuff, which, to be fair, put her over. The Anthony Go stuff, which we did cover. Shaq being another one
as well. A lot of people criticize Cody because, like, obviously, I think one of the things that surprised him going back is the little jabs he's taken at WWE and Triple H. Obviously, first Double or Nothing breaks the throne with a sledgehammer, pulled out a golden shovel on more than one occasion. And a lot of people, though, have made the comparison, oh, wait, but Cody's like that in AEW. No, he wasn't. He put over guys like Darby Allin. He put over Sammy Guevara, Jade Cargill. He's made a lot of their biggest stars now. Dallas, the Malachi Black feud. Like, Brody Lee, like, he's like guys squash him before and make them look dominant. Fair enough, he always eventually got the win back, but he's put people over and he's helped make a lot of their biggest stars.
Yeah, think about the rocket strapped to Brody Lee, to be fair, after that match. Because that was like a brutal one-sided beating, and that story was excellent as well. It was playing into Cody's like hubris and everything like that, and real Rocky IV stuff. And I really liked that feud. What do you say are some of Cody's best moments in AEW?
Oh, quite a lot, really. I mean, it's just the fact, like, their first pay-per-view Double or Nothing, he gave them their first 5-star match with his brother Dustin.
Amazing match.
Which I know Garrett has a lot of love for, not just the match itself, but the after promo. Again, the stuff I already mentioned, the stuff with Brody Lee was tremendous. The squash match and then eventually the dog collar match. I think it's just stuff as well that, like, I guess people can boo the man, but when you hear about the stuff he does backstage, it's like how we were talking when we did the recording yesterday for your top 10 list episode, how Cody and Big E were the two people Amanda Huber wanted her son to be with when she had to break the news that Brody Lee wasn't gonna live. You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
And like Cody drove all the way to be with them. It was like the day after Christmas, just to support the wife of his friend. You know, it was so he's done a lot, and again he is one of the figureheads that have helped build AEW, and it's going to be quite strange knowing he isn't going to be there anymore.
Yeah, yeah, entirely. I always associated him as like one of the big faces of that company because he was one of the people that started it. I remember there being the elite segments leading up to AEW, and I remember like it very much always seemed like Cody has this kind of like ambitious rhetoric where
Yeah.
he'd be very motivating, and I have no doubts in my mind that he was very much one of the driving forces behind even going forward to the Khan family in the first place. He was one of the driving forces behind the All In pay-per-view, and them being able to prove that they can do it. I think if it wasn't for Cody leaving WWE in the first place, AEW just straight up wouldn't exist. There'd be a lot of eyes still on New Japan, but it would still kind of be it would be a completely different wrestling landscape, a completely different wrestling. That's for sure. But
No. 100%.
yeah.
I mean, so we've obviously kind of already discussed him. Like WWE seems to be where he's going to be landing next. If that's not the case, where do you think he could go? Where else do you think he might go back to, or like debut for?
There was a funny meme that I saw yesterday. It made me smile with glee and potential excitement. It was a picture of two people together, and it was like Triple H and Cody going off to start a new wrestling promotion. And I laughed, and I was like, hang on a second. That would be dope. Because, like, it would be because Triple H is just as a thought experiment. I don't think it's likely to happen, but as a thought experiment, I'm like, yeah, because Triple H is losing his roles in WWE, and Cody's just left AEW. Why not? It'll be funny. Yeah, why not? Anything can, as we have found out, anything can fucking happen in this sport.
100%, man. I know. I mean, I sincerely believe if Triple H had a backer like Tony Khan, he would make a pretty thriving wrestling company, as we've seen with NXT.
Yeah. Why not? Why not get one of the many Saudi princes to fund it? Why not? Why not? They seem to have enough money. Either that, I think more likely, if not WWE, if that somehow falls through, if Cody's very stubborn about it, I think Japan isn't outside the realm of possibility. He's already has established himself there. I think a retirement from wrestling in general isn't even too far off the cards, and just honing this kind of like pseudo reality star celebrity lifestyle he's starting to get over in America too. I mean, he's a talent show judge at the end of the day. That can,
Well, like, yeah, I mean, I could see that as well. It's just the thing obviously came out is that recently his Rose to the Top, that's what it's called, right? The reality series him and Brandy do was just recently renewed, but apparently because it's on TNT, they've just come out and said, yeah, we're not going to go ahead with that anymore. Probably just in case he is planning to go to WWE, and it's like we can't have the rival wrestling promotion on the channel where we have our own promotion. That's just not going to fly. But again, he could easily, if a lot of people see the worth in it, he could easily go to another network and get a similar reality show.
Yeah,
I don't see why not.
Movies as well. He could go off and do what Wyndham Rotunda's doing and what John Cena's doing, and a lot of other wrestlers have done. Just do some acting. I think Cody Rhodes would be great. Cody Rhodes would be really good in something like Guardians of the Galaxy, for example, or just some random soap opera American bollocks that I just know like is as plenty of, and I think you should just action movies I think are tailored for Cody. The man it bleeds red, white, and blue, and his snores probably sound like a fucking bald eagle. So I don't know. I've been drinking root almond gin and ginger ale, and it's actually really nice. Yeah, but no, the man's so American. Just give him an action movie. The Marine movies. Just give him one of those. Have him be a big hero. Get Brandy in there as well. Why not? And I think that's, in my opinion, that's the likely thing. I reckon he could start acting and honing this kind of celebrity status, and maybe one day he returns to AEW as a celebrity instead, but not under contract. A bit like kind of what Shaq had, more so. But
I mean, you could be right there. I mean, because I think a lot of people assumed when Bray Wyatt was let go, Wyndham Rotunda, he would be popping straight up in a new company, which hasn't been the case. He's actually gone on and he's doing these horror movie projects, and apparently he's very happy doing that. So I've been saying for ages, I don't think if he is going to come out wrestling, it's certainly not going to be within this year. So maybe Cody could do the same thing. Maybe at this point he's like, well, I've done a lot of the wrestling stuff. I've now built this platform for myself to branch into other mediums. Maybe he might want to go and explore that a little bit. You mentioned like possibly going back to Japan. I would just love it if New Japan brought him back in and then he walked through the forbidden door back into AEW. Just a well-rounded way to get back in.
It would be like that Simpsons when Grandpa goes through the door, goes in a circle and leaves again. Yeah, I mean that too. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Cody versus Ospreay.
Ooh,
I'm not against that at all.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I've kind of covered all I want to go on with that story. If you're happy to move on there, Scott, anything else you want to
add? Cody versus Tamatonga.
Very good. Well, I'm sure we'll get more as the story develops. It's, again, as we've been saying for a lot recently, it's the most exciting time to be a wrestling fan. Like, shit like this is crazy.
It's weird.
It's weird, but it's cool.
Great.
Well, moving on then to what would have essentially probably been, well, what's probably started off as the biggest news story yesterday, but then got overshadowed a little bit, shall we say. Stone Cold, possibly a done deal for WrestleMania 38. Very surprising, this one. So apparently WWE's been in talks with Steve since January to see about getting him back on the WrestleMania 30, get him in for this year's WrestleMania. Apparently it's nearly a done deal as well. So apparently he's ready to sign on, and the rumor is it's going to be against Kevin Owens. What did you kind of think of this, Scott?
Balmy. It's a bit balmy. The man, I guess Stone Cold's career was cut short. This we know.
Yeah.
He's made appearances for WWE since. It would be a massive return, but with people like Edge coming back and potentially us seeing Paige again and Daniel Bryan, now Bryan Danielson, coming back after potentially retirable injuries.
Yeah.
That's not a word. I don't care. It's not outside the realms of possibility for him to have a full match and it still be decent.
Yeah.
We've seen Goldberg come back and he's had 1.5 decent matches out of the many he's had.
Is that when you added up all the ratings together?
I mean, yeah, it's the only way he's going to get close to 5 stars, dude. But yeah, no, it's like, so Goldberg can still like wrestle. I mean, heck, fuck, Undertaker can still. Yeah, no, I'm using the word wrestle very liberally at the moment. Pretend fight, slow granddad slaps. It's more just like, yes, I have my skepticism because Stone Cold is just one of my favorites ever. I love him so much, and his moveset is muted enough to translate fine into his elderly years. I mean, heck, like the only real like big athletic move I can really think of that he does that would potentially put someone in danger if done wrong is a suplex. Thinking back, like, to a lot of Austin's best matches, his big move would be the suplex off the top rope. I mean, the stunner is literally just a kick and a sit down. I'm really like, please don't kill me, Stone Cold. I know wrestling is very hard.
Don't kill me, Steve.
Please, Steve, don't murder me. I'm not underselling this, but I'm saying that I think he can still come back the way he is and still have a good match, especially against someone like Kevin Owens. So yes, he never got that big retirement. I say that fucking he did, but he never got. No, he did.
He did, Scott. He did.
He did. He really did. I'm so used to saying that. To be fair, it's a motor response.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but like, I think one last hurrah, because why not? Why not? It's Stone Cold. You can kind of sell it as just him being him, really. And the battle for the stunner is a decent story. So
yeah. Well, again, I'm teetering on the fence of this one, because what you said there is true. I think out of anyone returning to the ring, because obviously Stone Cold had to change up his style when he broke his neck against Owen Hart. That's why he transitioned into more of the brawler role, which most people would remember him as, because that's when he took off and the Attitude Era got massive and he became the biggest thing. And he was known more then as a brawler. So if he was to come back to the ring, I mean, the dude's 57 and he's been retired now almost approaching 20 years. I think it could work if you're just letting him go in there, just throw a couple of knuckle sandwiches. Doesn't have to do a whole lot in the terms of like things like suplexes, that kind of thing, because again, he is a brawler type. And again, you're putting him in there with a guy like Kevin Owens who can make him look like $1 million as well and will sell for whatever Austin wants. Yeah, you could do it. But then the other side of me is like, but Steve is up until he came back, Steve and Shawn Michaels were the only two people who retired and stayed retired.
Gracefully. Yeah.
Shawn came back, obviously, had that car crash of a match at the Saudi show. That only really leaves Steve as the only guy who's retired and stuck to his word. And he's said for years that, like, even though there's been the odd temptation, he's been happy to walk away when he did, because he was banged up, he was hurt, but he left at such a height as well. Yeah, if he comes back and he's got that match of Owens, I think I will obviously be quite happy for it. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, please don't be shit.
Yeah. Because thinking about it as well, like, Kevin Owens has a lot of moves which rely on very much like high octane. I'm going to slam you on your head against my knee, that kind of thing. Like, yeah. It depends. It depends how they handle it. But we're talking about WWE here. You know, it's WWE, the kind of company that would go towards a bomb diffuser wearing Mickey Mouse gloves. You know what I mean? Like the novelty ones. Like, so I guess it depends. I know the promos are going to be great because they are. Think about the two people involved.
I think,
I on your point, putting it like that, I think is a really good point. Where, like, he retired at the height of his career. Let sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah, he basically. I know people will always debate when the Attitude Era kind of officially came to an end. I suppose in many respects, what happened was like Austin's whole career was centered around the Attitude Era, and he kind of basically left when that had firmly ended and the Ruthless Aggression Era was just starting. He kind of passed on the torch. He left when he was still kind of the biggest name attached to WWE as these new people were up and coming. It's, I think, again, I think if he's in the ring, it'll be a good match. It's just that angle to it of you left at such a high, Steve, and you stuck to your word. And it's not like he's struggling. He's done great. He's doing great things, not only with WWE still, like the Broken Skull sessions, but outside of it. Not going to lie, Redneck Island, I only watched for the first time recently, and I kind of love it. It's the perfect kind of trashy TV. So go check that out. But what it also screams to me as well is WWE. I mean, if it's true that they've only been talking about this since January, it just screams that WWE are desperate to get a Mania card together.
Yeah,
in my opinion, because we've heard a lot that, like, I mean, if you look at the Rumble itself, that was just a train wreck putting together. It seems like they haven't got that many concrete plans for Mania, and it feels like this is like a break glass in case of emergency moment where they've basically had to go like, Steve, please, can you just come back and do this one match for us, please?
Yeah, please.
Please, Steve.
Please, Steve, please.
Please, Steve. Please, Steve, come back.
More alarmingly as well, it means that they don't have plans for Kevin Owens, who just signed this new, brand spanking new shiny contract when everyone thought he was going to go to AEW with his good pals. But he stuck around for big money.
Yeah.
And why pay, from a purely corporate standpoint, forgetting that this is wrestling, but from a corporate standpoint, why pay all of that money to keep that employee in when you have nothing planned for them for the biggest show? That stinks of just territorialism mostly. It's like, and he can do so much. He can have a feud with literally anyone. He's a tweener. Give him a face, give him a heel, give him also another tweener. Just give him anyone. He'll have a feud with them. Give him Sami Zayn again. We never tire of those matches.
No.
Yeah. If anyone on that roster should have a plan for Mania, it's Kevin Owens. But
yeah,
there you go.
I mean,
if he gets Stone Cold, cool. But,
I was going to say, if he gets Stone Cold, that's like biggest match on the card, really. Like,
for real.
Like, come on, getting Stone Cold back to wrestling, like, that has to be the main event match.
Yeah.
Like, come on, really? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I will. There will be that nostalgic side of me that's like, oh my god, it's Stone Cold wrestling again, yay! But then there'll be that part of me that's like, oh man, does anyone retire and mean it? Does anyone walk away and just doesn't do it anymore? You know,
just have a whole ass ceremony and just go back on it later. It's the complete opposite for Taker, who just never retires, because I think he's rumored for another wrestling return as well, isn't he?
I heard that. I mean, I'd heard that they've been trying to get the usual names for Mania, like Flair, Hogan, Taker. I hope Undertaker isn't wrestling a match at WrestleMania. Mark, you don't. Oh.
You put out the documentary now, Mark.
When you gonna
cut it out?
When you gonna call the next one? Last Ride 2? Come on, man.
Last Ride 2. I just rode last again. Like, it's not gonna work. People aren't gonna trust your word. It's my last ever match at WWE. Then I'm gonna rest in peace. Yeah, whatever.
Whatever, Mark.
They're only gonna come back and wrestle Happy Corbin again next year. So,
fucking hell. Yeah, I guess we'll see in the coming weeks to see if Steve is coming back. I suppose while we're doing our old Fun Fantasy booking trick, if it wasn't Kevin Owens, who would you like to see Steve face?
That's tough. Oh, bloody hell! Who would I like? Who would be able to keep up? Who on the WWE roster would be able to keep up with Stone Cold on the mic for their entire feud? That's really tough. Roman Reigns, I'd say, is a really good shout. But then again, like, Roman Reigns would lose all credibility if he lost. Oh, I'll tell you what, because this would be a classic case of WWE remembering that we remember things.
Okay.
Xavier Woods.
Right.
Because he came out at Mania, hit him with a stunner.
Yeah.
So have that be the feud. Fuck it. Otherwise, I would have just said Kevin Owens, because that's such a good fit. Battle for the stunner.
Tell you what, because why not just go Hall of Famer versus Hall of Famer, have them go up against Edge. We never got Stone Cold Steve Austin against the Rated R Superstar Edge. Possibly got him when he was like Edge and Christian Edge in a match, but never Rated R Superstar Edge.
Good point.
And that's two people who, again, similar neck issues as well. So they're going to be fine. Obviously, making sure they protect each other. I don't know. I think there could be something in that.
Yeah. That's a really good one. We never also really got Cena versus Austin either.
True. We never got that.
Current Cena, not rapping Jorts Cena.
Yeah. I mean, the one that comes to mind as well, because you could easily write a story around it, would be Austin versus Brock. Given back in the day, Austin refused, for like justified reasons, refused to fight Brock on an episode of Raw and put him over for the King of the Ring qualifier because. Again, to Austin's credit, like it was like this should be a match on a pay-per-view that we build towards, and you just put it on TV. I'm not going to do that, and so he took his ball and left for a while. But I just think, even though they are friends, it would just feel. I just don't know how you could book it with like Austin suddenly coming back and being able to like hold his own against Brock after it's been 20 years.
And
it just feel a little jarring because in like logical sense, Brock would just come out and probably destroy Austin. No offense to Stone Cold.
No, it's a real good point. Literally, whenever I try and think of this dream match, like if it, because I'm always just like, I'd love to see him face him. Oh, but Stone Cold's neck. Oh no. It's like I would just a spot I'd like to see Ricochet take a stunner. Let's see Ricochet sell a stunner because Ricochet's the best sell on the roster right now. I think in my mind he's overtaken Ziggles.
Just takes a stunner and just flips all the way up into the rafters.
takes a stunner and just fucking Team Rocket blasting off again, like somewhere in the distance behind him. Just one of those things where it's like ew, and then just a spark in the sky. Have Ricochet sell a stunner. Let's have it.
Let's have it.
Let's have it. Swear there's other WWE wrestlers I'm probably forgetting about that would probably wrestle Stone Cold really well, but I think WWE, if they are going full Kevin Owens, I think that is literally the best choice.
That's the perfect casting, in my opinion. So I think they've kind of already smashed it in that booking. Well, again, I guess it remains to be seen if we'll see Austin coming up over the coming weeks and if this is actually going to be happening. But it seems like it could legit be coming, could be a thing. Well, moving on next. I haven't seen this myself. I know you've watched some of it, Scott, so I'll let you do a bit of rundown on what your thoughts were. It was obviously NXT Vengeance Day yesterday. Yes, yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes, it's on a Tuesday. Yes. By all accounts, I've heard this is like the best NXT 2.0 show they've done. I've heard a lot of great things about it. I know you haven't watched the full thing yet, Scott, but what have your thoughts been on it so far?
So I, as you may know, I love NXT. I love it so much. I love the black and gold brand, and I will never stop talking about how much I love it. The problem is with the rebrand is that there are all these backstage skits that are all WWE comedy.
Yeah.
And I get it's probably not for me. And I get that. I understand. But also, why isn't it for me? I love NXT. Why are you making me hate the thing I love so much? Stop it. But I've been keeping tabs on the new NXT 2.0. And so far it's been making me sad because
did it make you cry, Scott?
Why call Bron Breakker when he's a Steiner? Why? But I watched his match against Pablo Escobar, which is the main event of this show. And Pablo Escobar? No, Yeah, that's not it.
That would be a very
Santos
different match, buddy.
Santos Escobar. Yeah, watch this match. Bucket Vince. Yeah, I watched his match against Santos Escobar, and really good. Like some good near falls in there. Braun Breaker's finisher looks really good, like a better version of Braun Strowman's. And this is the first match I think I've properly seen him all the way through. Dolph Ziggler gets involved because he's been toying around with NXT recently, but then Ciampa, like, they have a brawl to the outside. Escobar looks good in defeat as well. Yeah, and I was like pleasantly surprised. I was like, okay. I did take like him kicking that yellow X apart for his entrance a couple of weeks ago very much to heart because I love NXT. But this is a great example of him being incredible, very credible and a genuine, good main roster talent whenever he goes up, because he doesn't look green. He seems good. Walter had a promo. I haven't watched it yet. Sorry, Gunter had a promo.
No, it's Walter. It's Walter. You can call him Walter. I'm gonna keep calling him Walter.
Yeah, another one. I didn't know the teams involved in this match, but it was Diamond Mine versus someone. And I saw the finish of the match, and it was great. It was great, and it was good to see Diamond Mine doing stuff because, yeah, it's that they were meant to be this whole big thing, weren't they? With Roddy Strong at the helm and Malcolm Bivens, but they just kind of were cruising on the cruiserweight division. Which, that's another big bit of news. 205 Live has now officially been scrapped.
Yeah. So, because usually what would happen is after the NXT taping, they would do the 205 Live one. I think it's either it's been scrapped or it's rebranded because instead they filmed a show called NXT Level Up.
Yeah. It was MSK, sorry.
Right. MSK. That, the tag team. Scott.
Yes, those guys. But yes, no, in any case, yeah, Level Up, which I don't know if they're just going to get the guys from the Cruiserweight division into Level Up. I also hate the name Level Up, but that might be because I'm a grouchy young man. I mean,
it just kind of fits with the whole NXT 2.0. When with the logo they've got and the way they stage it just makes it look very like a Nickelodeon show, and something like naming NXT Level Up sounds like a Nickelodeon show.
Next up, Pete Dunne versus Walter in a gunk match. It definitely seems like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's the paintball arena stupid color scheme, which I guess is good for babies, but not me. I like my gritty wrestling.
Not us, adult wrestling fans. Boo, family friendly and children.
Yeah. I haven't seen Carmelo Hayes versus Cameron Grimes, although I have heard that's one of the best matches on the card. Oh, and Pete Dunne and Tony D'Angelo have a steel cage match as well, which I also haven't watched yet, but I also have heard is very good. Yeah, I you know what? I admit, as I did earlier, that I am bitter about NXT 2.0, and I am.
Yeah. We all are, buddy.
Yes. But if they start making good wrestling, as they seem to have been doing, if they start making very credible, very entertaining content, who am I, a man of the people, to refuse to get invested in good, honest entertainment? And at the end of the day, the more good wrestling, the better. The better that talent's being utilized, the better that talent's being developed. Heck, I'm fine with this. You know, like in a way, I am sort of rooting for NXT 2.0 to be good, because they have Walter and Pete Dunne, and Ciampa still there, and Roddy Strong still there. So either the product's good or they're not being treated good, and I know which I'd rather.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like, I don't want anyone to sit here and think that we're like, not for about NXT 2.0 being good. We want it to be good.
Yes.
Like, this is the thing. Wrestling, every wrestling company goes through different eras, and let's face the facts, at some point, the black and gold era of NXT would have had to have come to some form of end. We're just upset that the thing that's followed it isn't very good. But if it does become good, then yay. Well done. You didn't completely kill NXT.
If they make a star out of Bron Breakker, if Bron Breakker ends up, as they say, main eventing a WrestleMania, by the looks of it, it won't be too bad. Because by the looks of it, he's got a cool entrance theme. He's got a nice look. He definitely has the look of a Steiner. They've got to change that name at some point. You know what? Fair enough. I'm an easy man to impress. And all it takes to impress me is a good 4.5-star wrestling match.
No, I agree. I mean, like, again, the talent's there. They've got some good names, especially all these newbies that they suddenly just pushed into the spotlight. Yeah. I think they've got the talent there. Again, it's just like you say, it's just become a sort of watered down version of what the main roster's like now, which is completely against what the NXT that we knew and loved used to be. Like you say, it seems more focused on stupid little backstage skits than the actual wrestling, which is what the Black and Gold brand was all about. It was just about, it had storylines and backstage stuff, but ultimately the wrestling was at the forefront, as it should be.
Yeah.
If they shift that focus again, then there's no reason to think NXT 2.0 could go on to be a fondly remembered part of NXT as well. Again, the talent's there. They've got the names. Some of them, I mean, I'm still in the mindset that will maybe after Mania, the likes of Dunn and Ciampa might end up on the main roster, which remains to be seen. But yeah, again, we do hate on NXT 2.0, which is because we have got a lot of nostalgic connection to the OG NXT. And it just kind of hurt us to see how quickly of a demise it had as well.
Absolutely. And how fruitlessly they were just they were just throwing people out the window. Your Samoa Joes and your William Regals. But by the way, also William Regal has put forward to trademark his name for merch. So go buy William Regal t-shirts, because I might do when I get paid.
I will be, because he's already put free designs up in his Pro Wrestling Tee store, and
one of them's really good. One of them's really good.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Well, that was Scott's review of half of NXT Vengeance Day.
As much as I have been able to see, yes. From what I can relay and from what I've heard, it was very good, and you should watch it and support the fact that Braun Breaker is Braun Strowman, but smaller and more compact.
With that review, Scott, you are just very much the Chris Kamara of this podcast.
I don't know, Jeff.
I know, and we're over to Scott now at NXT Vengeance Day, where I believe Pete Dunne has just picked up the victory. Scott, what's the situation down there?
Has he, Greg? I don't know. I saw the ref was raising his hand, but has he?
Has he? I don't know, Greg.
Count your fingers. How many wrestlers are currently inside that ring? Oh no, I know. That Chris Kamara is so good. Yeah, it's very much that very much literally happened earlier when I was like, oh, Diamond Mine wrestled someone. I don't know, Jeff. Who are they wrestling?
Wrestled MSK.
MSK. There's this brilliant clip of Chris Kamara, by the way, where they cut to him and a goal's just been scored. And they're like, and a goal has just been scored at Vicarage Road, Chris Kamara. And he's just asleep.
Oh yeah.
He's just nodding off. I love Chris Kamara so much, so I'll take that as a compliment.
I think one of my favorite Chris Kamara ones is when he's like doing the reporting live, and it sounds like someone's scoring. He goes, "I think they've just scored, Jeff. I don't. They might not have. I don't know. I don't know what's happening, Jeff." He's an absolute gem. This is Chris Kamara. What a dude.
National treasure.
Right. Well, moving on to the last sort of major thing I wanted to talk about today. We are getting rapidly close to the launch of WWE 2K22, and we've been slowly being drip-fed information now. We're starting to get a lot more of an idea on what the game will look like. Over here at the podcast, as is usual, I'm being Mr. Optimistic, thinking, you know what? I think it's going to be good. I think it will actually, hopefully, be decent after the 2-year development. I think you got Garrett, Mr. Pessimistic, who thinks it ain't going to be good. So, again, we'll see. I mean, we're going to be doing a lot of live stream for it, but recently they did a new trailer and a dev discussion on the mode that we're all really excited for, which is GM mode. So, I'll bring up the trailer. Cool. Essentially, they just ran through a lot of the new features that are going to be in it, and I think it's shaping up to be pretty good. Have you seen anything on this, Scott, yet?
I have not. You are going to be educating me on this today, as this completely passed me by.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like it looks like to me, the GM mode is going to sort of follow a lot of how it was back on the old games, and they've done a few little updates. So you will essentially pick. You will pick one of the GMs to play as. I think it's like Adam Pearce, Sonya Deville, Stephanie, or you can create your own, so you can essentially be yourself. Then you pick the brand, and you can pick from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and NXT UK. And it's a bit similar to like when it was on the SmackDown versus Raw games. You've got to go through picking your roster. You've obviously got a budget to manage, and then it's just about doing the weekly shows. As you can see here, you've got to earn star ratings. There's like a card system in place with it as well for like how the matches can play out. It's looking good to me, and this is the mode we were hoping would be good because again, there's a lot of attachment to this sort of particular mode, and we've been wanting it back for years, as have many people. It's also going to have support for online co-op as well as local co-op. So if Garrett does actually pick up the game, we can have a lot of fun with it here on the podcast.
Right. By the looks of that, it's like that looks like a lot of fun, a breath of fresh air into the game for sure.
Yeah,
the breath of fresh air that it's been needing for so long. That is my Greg point. Now comes my Garrett point. As a frequenter of universe mode.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would just be a case of you play it for too long and then you know what the code kind of is like. So whenever there's something like the budget and the card system and stuff like that and the star system, where you leave it up to the game's AI to decide what happens and all that stuff, can sometimes be to the game's own detriment. To
that end, you do have some control over it like you would have in the old game. So I think they said, because I did the video I've got now is the devs basically doing a run through, and I watched this just before we recorded. So you're gonna have to forgive me because I it's not all stuck on my head. I was kind of eating food while I was watching it. But yeah, no. When it comes to actually controlling the matches, you can play them yourself. You can just what's the word? Just generate the whole show, so you don't actually have to watch them play out. And there's also a spectator mode. I don't know if they said you will have control over who wins and loses, but then again, I don't know if you necessarily really had that on the old GM mode either. Or did you?
I don't know.
It's been a while since I played it. I think you might have been able to.
I just saw Walter's name just at the bottom
there.
Yeah,
so that was what made he comes up again. That was what made me excited. So the cool thing with these reveals is we also get a look at the new roster that is slowly forming up because we still haven't had the full reveal yet. Rosters name, rosters. What the fuck? Walter's name.
Kaylee Ray
appeared in this. Yep, so I was very excited about that.
Isaiah Swerve. Ooh.
There's Dexter Loomis there as well.
Very good.
So the roster is looking pretty good so far. What was the name I was most excited for? I was really hoping he'd be in this, so I'm quite excited for that. I'm hoping they'll have Ilya Dragunov as well. They were the two big ones I wanted for the game.
I mean, they've got to. He's current champ, and they've got Kaylee Ray in there.
Yeah.
So it's got to be done. It's got to be done.
It's got to be done. Yeah, as you see there as well. So when you start, you've got your money, and it's up to you to book the roster. It's up to you. Again, you can sign legends. There's a lot of free agents. There's some weird characters that because you can add creator wrestlers into this. I'm going to see if I can find it. There was a weird character that looks like it wasn't a career wrestler. It looks like it's going to be an actual character in the game. There you go. There's more Walter. But
it was got an email from Walter. Open it up, pal. Come on.
Hang on. Let's take a look, because this is like when the games get really cheesy. When you've got like email from Finn Balor. You imbecile! I warned you that this was going to happen. We're not. What the hell's that?
We're not machines.
Oh, how about you take better care of your talent? Yeah, that sounds a lot like Finn Balor.
Yours sincerely, Finn.
So
you
yes,
imbecile.
Yeah, imbecile. Sorry, Ireland.
No, it's all right. We got beef with so many other places now.
Oh, that was it. There it is.
Oh,
look, it's Edge wrestling a mime.
What?
Wait, look, and you come up, and it's not just a created character. This looks like an actual developed character. There's like a matchup screen which shows it. Hang on. There he is. It's called Silence, and it's just a mime. Yeah, look.
What? There's a picture of him. What's going on there? What's this? There, the 2-star match as well. He mustn't be very good.
I mean, the only thing I could think of, because they've done this before, should be fun. Because the thing is that you've got like free agents and stuff like that. Maybe they've added these random little joke characters that you can sign to the roster. Like they'll just be dirt cheap, and it's just a fun random thing. It's like, oh look, you can have a mime. Let's have Walter kill him. That's what I do.
Okay, no, I do like that, to be fair. I do like that. And it means we get to have more entrance templates on Creator Wrestler, so that's fine.
That's always fine.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's looking good. I mean, a few things that I was a bit disappointed of. I felt like, we'll close that for now. I feel like if they're doing with GM Mode Combat, I felt like they were going to use some of the elements from Universe Mode. I'd have liked the ability, like in Universe Mode, just to completely create your own show. Yeah. Because what I would typically do is go on the community creations, download every kind of asset I could find for Progress, and I would just have Progress as my main show in Universe Mode.
Yeah.
I'd have liked to be able to do that. I'd have liked to be able to do that in GM Mode, and I don't understand why that couldn't have been a thing.
Have they not got Universe Mode on this game then?
Well, Universe Mode's in it. Yeah, no, Universe Mode's
okay.
I would say at least this is the cool thing. Like, it doesn't seem, when it comes to the modes, we're getting pretty spoiled because we've got Korea, we've got GM, we've got Showcase, which is Rey Mysterio, we've got Universe Mode. There's the My Faction thing, which is, it looks like it's going to be their attempt at having like a FIFA Ultimate Team.
Oh.
If you know how to do this. So essentially, that's the main online feature they're pushing. You essentially, as it suggests, you build your own faction of wrestlers, and then you go up against people in online matches. That's sort of the loose narrative to it. That's going to be the section of the game that has a lot of, like FIFA My Team, though.
The packs and all that.
Packs, lots of microtransactions. They've said that's going to be the only part of the game with microtransactions. If that's the case, then fine. Because I mean, I don't do a lot of online play, so I don't think I do My Faction that much. But I know a lot of people who love stuff like FIFA Ultimate Team. So if you're a fan of that and wrestling, it's probably a dream come true.
It would be. I probably won't put a lot of money. I won't put any money into it, maybe. But I'll just see what it's like without paying money. Because it's FIFA Ultimate Team is very much a playable game, even if you don't spend a penny.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why not? Why not? I can give that a good test run. Yeah,
sure.
It sounds weird and interesting. So,
I mean, all I know is we've said we're going to be doing a lot more video game streams here and get to it. And I think WWE 2K22 is going to be, we're going to be doing a lot with that. So keep tuned for that. I've basically got a long weekend booked off when the game drops, and I've only got one thing on that weekend. The rest of it, I plan to just be here streaming
Getting good at the game, yeah.
Showing everyone at home what it's like if you're a bit hesitant on buying it. Because yes, I am that person who will have it the day it comes out, even if it's terrible. I've still got 2K20 on a shelf down there, even though it's broken as hell.
It's gathering dust. And that's the best thing it could have gathered given the context.
But yeah, I'm excited for the game either way. I'm just hoping it'll be good. Please be good. Please.
Yeah, I think the thing is with WWE games, I always avoid career mode because it always ends up so bloody weird. Like the writing is just what?
I just can't be bothered with my career mode, essentially because I just kind of wish they would kind of do away with the whole overall rating system in wrestling games. Because when it comes to something like my career mode, you've got to obviously be your own playable character, and you always start off on like 60, 70 overall, and it just feels like such a chore to kind of claw up to a decent level. And usually it's daft stuff like a lot of the moves are locked and things like that. It just doesn't feel fun for me to play. I've only done, since they brought Korea back, I've only done the one which was in 2K15, I want to say, which was very bare bones, but I did that one. I'm not bothered with any of the other ones since. So I mean, I might do my career for the channel here, but I think GM mode's going to be where I'm going to be spending a lot of time, and universe mode.
I did try 2K19's career mode, but it was obvious they were making this big dig at the indies that entire time. And I was just like, wrestling doesn't work like this. Like no wrestling fan is playing this being like, aha, just write your characters better. You've America's, go to Los Angeles, find a writer who's also a wrestling fan, leave them to it. They know how people talk. People don't talk like they do in these games. Oh, it's ridiculous. And they get Triple H to say these lines as well that were bloody awful. This is 2K19. This is the all right game. I've heard horror stories about 2K20's career being really, really, really weird. And I watched a clip. One that particularly comes to mind is they're in a school cafeteria. And I think I've shut whatever was said in that interaction out of my mind because it makes me start seeing sunspots. It's that cringy. So I've shut it out, but I remember it being very bad.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah. But and by the looks of that email that Finn Balor sent, maybe we're heading in the same direction. Who in their right mind calls someone an imbecile over email?
I mean, I guess you've got to. WWE games will always have that element of just a bit of cheese when it comes to those little minutiae about it. I think it would just take a lot of effort to go through and program email responses that would fit every wrestler. So
I'll do it. Give me a $5.
Give me money and I'll do it.
Give me literally a $5 and a packet of Walkers. I'll do it. I'll draft up what I reckon that'd be a great side project. Like what each wrestler on the WWE roster, like how they would type different kinds of emails, be it egregious or complimentary. Like, just to do it from the perspective of like Sami Zayn would be perfect. just give me the job, damn it. $5 and a packet of Walkers. Take it or leave it.
You're a real cheap date, Scott.
You know what? Some of my best experiences I've ever had have been cheap. So,
hey,
there you go.
The best life of your life is when you're a student, and that's a cheap lifestyle.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Garlic bread for dinner.
Jesus Christ. Oh, well. Well, that was kind of the main stuff to bring up on the show. I just got one or two things to quickly wrap up with before we end the stream there. I just want to give a shout out, because I've been meaning to do this for weeks, to Riot Zoo times Forbidden Door. If you obviously follow the pod and our socials, you know I'm a huge wrestling figure collector, and I'm always looking for that extra little thing just to spice up my collection that I can't usually get. And thankfully, there are a lot of great customizers on the scene, and Riot Zoo is one I got in touch with because I found him on the social, and he teased the release of a handmade prototype of the Progress Championship, if my camera will fucking...
Ooh, yeah, no, I can kind of see it.
Yeah, bear with. I'll get my controls up. So yeah, essentially, I'd followed him for a while. He's a guy who basically 3D prints and hand paints all of his items, and he's just doing amazing accessories for people who collect wrestling stuff. I first saw him because he originally made a 3D print of the Nike trainer covered in thumbtacks from All Out.
Nice. Oh, that's
Nice.
Cool.
He's also done Malachi Black's entrance mask. Leave me alone.
No, don't worry. I couldn't fool myself earlier. This pod, anyways, it's all good.
Malachi Black's entrance mask for if you're looking to change your Aleister Black Elite figures into a Malachi. He can hook you up with that as well. And he's just been doing a load of championship belts recently. Like I say, they're all 3D printed, hand painted, and they're all really good. If I can get my camera settings to work, I will try and get a bit closer. Fuck you, camera. Fuck you. Yeah. Hang on. If I turn that down a sec, that might help because it's pretty bright. Is that working better? It's a little better.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. I can see the eagle now. Oh.
Yeah. So really good detail on it.
I
apologize. If you want to see the full thing, just go check over our social medias because I posted a bunch of pictures and a shout out on there.
Is that Lance Archer from them as well, or is that?
No. This is a Lance Archer figure I got recently from the latest AEW line.
Pretty cool. Very good.
Yeah, one of our latest wrestling figure presents.
Bearhug Club's biggest fan.
Bearhug Club's biggest fan. Thank you, Lance. Yeah,
he loves us.
Already gave the Riot Zoo a shout out on the socials, and I just had to do it on the pod as well, I'm sure. If you want to get in touch with him, I will link his socials down there. He at the moment he's mainly focused on the title belts, and they are really good if you're just looking to add that extra bit of fire to your figure collection. He's been doing belts from like the indies. He's been doing retro belts, a lot of New Japan stuff, because as me and Gary discussed in the pod, the belts that come with the New Japan figures from Super 7 are the weakest part of it. He can make you ones that just look fucking out of this world. So please go check ours out if you're a figure collector, and especially if you live in the UK, because that's where he's based, and he will hook you up with some amazing looking belts. Last thing,
I finally give my vintage Tori Wilson the Progress Championship that she deserves.
Hooray! And last thing to bring up is we announced this recently. We announced this yesterday, as of recording this. We started a book club, baby.
Hey!
Bearhug Book Club. Bearhug Book Club. So yeah, essentially the way this works is every month we're going to be picking a brand new wrestling-centric book, and we're obviously going to be reading it, and then through a special live stream we're going to be talking about it. We encourage everyone who wants to join in just to read along with us and then get ready for the live stream and to join us in the live chat and just give your thoughts on the book as we go through them as well. And we're kicking things off with a total classic. In many ways, the biography that kickstarted wrestling biography has been a big business. That's, of course, Mick Foley's Have a Nice Day, A Tale of Blood and Sweat Socks. Kind of the perfect one to start with, like, to get from the beginning. So, ideally, we'll give people plenty of time to read it. I mean, maybe give like a week or two just to make sure people have gone through it, and then we'll announce when we're doing the live stream. So just keep an eye out for the socials for new book announcements, and whenever we'll be doing the live stream link to the book. Are you going to be joining in with us, Scott?
Not this month, but next month, yes. Yes. I want to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to get the book, and I want to be able to have a deep dive and actually be able to read it. But this month is going to be very much like, oh, I'm out of bed off to work, and then straight after work, I'm going to do a thing, and then do a thing after that. So I want to be able to like sit down, have an entire day to read a whole thing, and next month I'll be able to do that. So that's I'll be coming in for book club next month.
Okay, well, we'll hold you to that one. So yeah, if you want to get, I mean, even if you've already read it, just please come along and join us. I mean, this will be like the 4th or 5th time I've read that book. I read it a lot. So I'm already prepared. I'll be definitely going through it again though. So please join us and just keep an eye out for the socials when we'll be announcing the live stream for our discussion on that. And that's basically it for our Wednesday Night Paw live stream. Just to go through those plugs once again, obviously the Bearhug Club podcast, Facebook and YouTube, Bearhug Club Pod on Instagram, Bearhug Club on Twitter, and finally go to the website to check out all the happenings and goings on, which is bearhugpod.wixsite.com/bearhugclouds. We will be back for our Friday Night Raw live stream this week, and it will be more of a pod-centric recording as we ask, where are they now? And we look back at some of the names that were released over the last 2 years to see who's been doing really well and who's not really done a lot since leaving WWE. But until then, take care, everyone, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. I don't know, Jeff.
I don't know, Jeff. I don't know.
I thought they were bringing a sub on.